Of course, he can't eat food. I'm recording this now, but
He jumped rope.
Yeah, he jumped rope, and he used to get up in the morning really early and make.
That's what I do. I jump. I do it every morning. I jump rope, and then I do get like 2 showers a day. But I mean, that's what I got to do. Got to keep your body going.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to stay in shape and stuff. We got to do, if you want to, you should do things that are good for your body that will help you, in your service to Kṛṣṇa, because we got a lot of stuff to do. Kṛṣṇa wants us to be engaged in his service. And so, if we want to do that, then we should keep ourselves in shape, because this isn't our body anyway. It's not ours, it's Kṛṣṇa's body. So we should treat it like that. Anyway, we're going to start here. Let me just share the screen with you guys. Hold on a second.
That sizzling is me. It's vegetables.
Oh, okay. What you making?
I'm making stir fry. It's got peppers and broccoli.
Oh, that sounds
squash.
Good.
Thank you.
I love squash. Squash is like on sale right now,
Tis the season.
Yeah, it's, all the farmers markets are like, they say if, like in the fall or close to the end of the summer, if you're in Pittsburgh and if you leave your cart open, you go to your car the next day, it'll be filled with zucchini.
That's not true.
Okay, let's see here. Where am I? Okay. All right, here we are. Share the screen. We're on Kṛṣṇa's Incarnations, which is really interesting. Kṛṣṇa has so many incarnations. They're like the waves of the ocean. Kṛṣṇa's incarnations are unlimited, just like the waves that keep coming into the ocean on the shore. And so there's that many incarnations, I mean, the Christians say he's the only son of God, Jesus is the only son of God, but Kṛṣṇa, he can come himself, and he can send his plenary portions or his avatars to represent him. It's actually him, so, Jesus is a son of God, but it also says in the Bible, you are all sons of God. So we're all called on to give God's service, and there's no exclusive monopoly on that. No religion has a monopoly. We're all called to share in the truth. So this particular verse is talking about the form of Kṛṣṇa that appeared from the milk ocean when they churned the ocean, the demons and the demigods, and the woman, a woman incarnation of Kṛṣṇa. Hey Mellisa, you ever heard that thing, God's coming back, and she's pissed.
Oh,
that, but that Danvan Mohini Murti appeared just to make a deal with the atheists, the demons. They were fighting over this nectar drink that they churned out of the ocean that would make you immortal. And so, because she was very beautiful, the demons were allured by her. And so they did whatever she wanted, and she cheated them. But only one demon actually got to drink a little bit of it. Anyway, this is text 17. I'll read the Sanskrit and synonyms and translation. Well, actually, somebody can read the translation because there is no purport. Danvantaram dvadashamam trayodashamam evacha apayavat suramanyan mohinya mohiyan striya. Synonyms: Danvantaram, the incarnation of Godhead named Danvantari. Dvasamam, the 12th in the line. Trayodashanam, 13th in the line. Eva, certainly, cha, and apayat yat, gave to drink, Suran, the demigods, Anyan, others, Mohinya, by charming beauty, Mohayan, alluring, Striya, in the form of a woman. Why don't you read the translation, Mellisa?
Okay, translation. In the 12th incarnation, the Lord appear as
Dhanvantari.
Dhanvantari. In the 13th, he allured the atheists by charming beauty of a woman and gave nectar to the demigods to drink.
Text 18. Chaturdasam Narasimham. You all know who Narasimha is. He's
Yep.
on my altar downstairs.
Yeah, he's downstairs.
Don't
On your altar.
worry about, you don't have to worry when he's in your house. You don't need a gun or any bullshit like that. You got Nishringa in your house. What do you need to worry about? Bibra deatam de daityendram urjitam dadara karajar or rav ekaram katakridyata. Synonyms. Chaturdasyam, the 14th in the line, Nara Simham, the incarnation of the Lord as half man, half lion. See, Nara means man and Singha means lion. Bibrat advented Daitam Indram, the king of the atheists, Urjitam, strongly built, Dadhara, bifurcated, Karajai, by the nails, Uro, on the lap, Erakam, canes, Katakrit, carpenter, Yeta, just like, go ahead, Al.
In the 14th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Śrīmad, and bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu with his nails, just as a carpenter pierces cane. I might have said it right or wrong.
It's a little bit, it's close enough for jazz. Hiranyakashipu, S with the slash above it is pronounced SH. And Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu means soft beds. That's what demons like. They like gold and soft beds. 19. Panchadasam Bimanakam Kritvagad Advarambale Padatrayam Yachamanam Pratidaditsus Tripistapam. Synonyms. Panchadasam, the 15th in the line, Vamanakam, the dwarf Brahmana, Kritva, by assumption of Agat, went, Advaram, arena of sacrifice, Bale, of King Bali. See, that was the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. We're just talking about Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj was the little boy. He was 5 years old. And the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj was another demon by the name of Bali Maharaj. And so this dwarf Brahmana, he cheated. Krishna's a big cheater. I mean, he said, cheats, I am a gambler. He said that in the Bhagavad Gita, gambler is the biggest cheat. So Krishna is, he compares himself with the best because he is the best. So if you want to try to cheat Krishna, Krishna will cheat you. And, so he tried to, he begged a little bit of land from Bali. Bali was very powerful. He owned the entire universe. And so he cheated him out of it by 3 steps of land. He said, Padatrayam, 3 steps only, Yachamana, begging. See what, kings are supposed to give in charity to Brahmanas. And so he took the role of a little dwarf Brahmana. The steps of a dwarf is not very big, So he begged 3 steps of land. And Pratyadichu, willing at heart to return Tripistapam, the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems. He took 3 steps, but then he expanded himself. And so the first step, he covered heaven and earth. And then the 3rd step, he covered the spiritual, all the 3 worlds. And then he didn't have any place else to put his 3rd step. And so Bali thought about it a little bit. And then he said, okay, well, you put your step on my head. You can have me too. As the 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of the dwarf Brahmana Vamana and visited the area of sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Bali. Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land. Go ahead, Mellisa.
A purport. The Almighty God can bestow upon any time the kingdom of the universe from a very small beginning, and similarly can take away the kingdom of the universe on the plea of begging a small piece of land.
Text 20. Avatare sodasame paisyan brahma droho nripam trisapta kritva kupito nikshatram akaron mahim. Synonyms. Avatare, and the incarnation of the Lord, sodasame, the 16th, pasyan, seeing Brahma Druha, disobedient to the orders of the Brahmanas, Nripan, the kingly order, Trisapta, thrice, 7 times, that would be 21. Kritva had done, Kupita, being engaged, Ni, negation, Chatram, the administrative class, Akarot, did perform, Mahim, the earth. Go ahead, Al.
The translation, this in the 16 incarnations of the Godhead, the Lord, as, how do you pronounce that? Brigapati, annihilated the administrative class, the Yaistras, 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, the intelligent class. The purport.
Read the purport too.
Yeah, I'll read the purport. Yeah, I was going to ask that. The Yaistras, or the administrative.
It's actually pronounced KSH, Kshatriyas.
Oh, Kshatriyas. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And or the administrative class of men are expected to rule the planet by the direction of the intelligent class of men, who give direction to the rulers in the terms of the standards sastras, or the books of revealed knowledge. The rulers carrying on the administration according to that direction, whenever there is disobedience on the part of the Śikṣāṣtaka, or the administrative class, against the order of the learned and intelligent Brahmanas, the administrators are removed by the forces from the post in arrangement and is made for a better administration.
See, that's a good government system there. See, intelligent persons, the Brahmanas, are the head of society. And so when the Kshatriyas get out of line because they're, drunk with power or whatever, they start acting up, the warrior class, they build up their military or whatever, they go conquering and, raping and pillaging the citizens. Then, when they're acting against the religious principles, they're supposed to be getting advice from the Brahmanas how to rule the government. The Brahmanas are not involved in politics and diplomacy and ruling, but the Kshatriyas are supposed to take advice from the Brahmanas how to rule. So when they disobey the Brahmanas, then the Brahmanas can remove them in the Vedic system. Of course, there are no Brahmanas nowadays. That's what Prabhupada wanted to create, is a class of Brahmanas who could guide the society. And the Kshatriyas are just out of control. They're like the 4th class men in democracy. It used to be a monarchy with saintly kings, but Kshatriyas are supposed to be saintly. The kings back then were supposed to be Rajarshi. Raja means king, and Rajarshi means saintly king. In other words, they were following the rules of the Shastra, and they're also obeying the saintly persons, the Brahmanas. And that made for a perfect system, because then the arms of society are the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriya means hurt, and Triya means to protect. So the Kshatriyas, the warriors or the administrators, are supposed to protect the citizens from all kinds of rogues and thieves. And so when they're guided by the Brahmanas, then they can do that well. But if they themselves become rogues and thieves, as is the modern society, the democratic system, the Prabhupada said, it's democracy means demon crazy. They're all demons, and they're crazy because they're not guided by any kind of authority. They're just going on their own, whim for power, profit, adoration, and distinction.
Mhm.
And so they're not guided by any kind of higher principle. And so 10th class, 4th class men are electing by hook or by crook. They get the votes of the 4th class men, of the general public. And it's just a chaotic situation, as we can see right now. They elect these administrators who are like just lusty for power, and they do divisive things in order to gain power. And like they shut down the government, and they challenged the Speaker of the House to give him all this power. And so they took him out of office, and so the next thing is they're just going to, Prabhupada said, you get rid of all these the president. Like when Prabhupada was around, they got rid of Nixon, and said, what, in a democracy, because the citizens don't have any intelligence, they're not guided by any intelligence, they get rid of one rascal and then they just elect another rascal, another Nixon. So the next guy that's the Speaker of the House, third in line for the president, it's going to be even worse. There's not going to be anybody that's going to be able to stop the shutdown of the government. So everybody's going to suffer. There's not going to be any, border patrol, paid border patrol, or any government workers, or any the servicemen, the men and women, the serving in the military, are not going to get paid. And a lot of people are going to call in sick, like the airport controllers. They're calling in sick, and be disruption in the travel. And it's not a very popular way to do things, but because they want to, strong arm their way and be popular with their base, they don't really care about governing. They just want to be powerful. And so that's why this incarnation, because of these upstarts, this administrative class was going against the Brahmanas, he was angry at them. And so he killed them all. He killed not only one time, he killed all of the Kshatris. He killed 21 generations. And all of the blood that was caught was from that slaughter. He just took his big axe, this incarnation of Godhead. He slaughtered all of them. And the blood that was formed from the slaughter of all these administrative Kshatriyas filled big lakes. And now they're still existing in India, but they used to be blood, but now they're just lakes. So, that's what happens, but that there are no Brahmanas that can be. That's happened before too, like there's this one king that was acting out, his name was Vena, and the Kshatriyas killed him too, or the Brahmanas killed him by a curse. All they did is like mutter some kind of mantra, and they killed him. But they had to be some other kind of king, and so they actually did some kind of churning of his limbs, and from that body came an incarnation of Vishnu. So, but nobody has that power. We don't have that kind of Brahmanas nowadays that could do that kind of magic, So, we're stuck with what we got. So better defend democracy, because that's the only thing we do. We don't have any kind of administrative class or Brahmanas. There's no Brahmanas. Everybody's a Shudra in this age, pretty much.
Good summary.
Huh?
That was a good summary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it kind of like it takes into context this current situation. It's like a boat without a rudder. Where is a boat without a rudder going to end up? If it doesn't have any sails, if it doesn't have any guidance, it's just going to end up in the rocks. Okay, text 21. Sata sapta dase jata satyavatyam parasharat chakre veda taro shaka drishva pumsolapamedasa. Synonyms: tata, thereafter, sapta dase, in the 17th incarnation, jata, advented, satyavatyam, in the womb of Satyavati, parasharat, by Parashara Muni, chakra prepared, veda taro, of the desire tree of the Vedas, shaka, branches, Drishva, seeing Pumsha, the people in general, Alpa Medasa, less intelligent. Translation, thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Srila Vyasadeva. See, he's the literary incarnation of Kṛṣṇa. He wrote all of the Vedas. Srila Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati through Parashara Muni, and he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, seeing that the people in general were less intelligent. Go ahead, Mellisa.
Originally, the Veda is one, but Sri Vasudeva divided the original Veda into four, namely Sama, Yajur, Rig, Atharva, and then again they are explained in different branches like the Puranas and the Mahabharata. Vedic language and the subject matter are very difficult for ordinary men. They are understood by the highly intelligent and self-realized Brahmanas. But the age of Kali is full of ignorant men. Even those who are born by a Brahmana father are, in the present age, no better than the Sudras or the women. The twice-born men, namely the Brahmanas, Satriyas, and Vaisyas, are expected to undergo a cultural purificatory process known as samskaras. But because the bad influence of the present age, the so-called members of the Brahmana and other high-order families are no longer highly cultured. They are called Divya Bandhus, or the friends and family members of the twice-born. But these Divya Bandhus are classified amongst the Sudras and the women. Sri Vasudeva divided the Vedas into various branches and sub-branches for the sake of the less intelligent classes like Divya, Bandhus, Sutras, and women.
Now, I have to I have to say this is just a bodily general society classification. Women and Shudras and working class people, like the people that are at the Dvija Bandhus, those are also can rise to the topmost platform. We're not the body, but generally, people that are like workers or ordinary, like a factory worker, and most women, like my wife, for example, she's working all the time and she doesn't really into the philosophy of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. The philosophy is, I'm not saying that men are more intelligent, but usually as a general rule, they're not as philosophically inclined. Women have softer hearts actually, and they're more compassionate than men. And actually in some Indian cultures, the men were not allowed to be in charge. The women were in charge because men were always, they're testosterone driven, they create wars and everything. And the women more level-headed, and they would think ahead to the generations in the future. They were thinking about their families and the future generations. And so the women in some Indian cultures and Native American cultures, they were put in charge. And I think that would be good. But in fact, in our society, in our Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement, there was a woman that was a guru after Lord Chaitanya left. Nityananda's wife was actually in charge of the entire Vaishnava community after Lord Chaitanya left his body. And so she would actually save the whole movement, because everything was after a great leader like Lord Chaitanya left the world, everything was like in chaos. And she actually got all the writings of the Goswamis and got all the devotees together and saved the movement. So it's not that women can't be gurus, but generally they're not as philosophically inclined as, they're not like highly intellectual. It's not saying they're less intelligent. They're actually more intelligent than men a lot of times. But that's just a classification generally. So I don't want you to be offended by this generalization, Mellisa.
What was her name?
But the name of the woman, Nityananda's wife was oh geez, what was
Will
her
you
name?
send it to me later?
Yeah, I will send you. I actually gave a class on it. I can't, it escapes my, on Jagor Panim a couple of years ago, I gave a class about how in the history of our movement, because there's been a bit of a controversy whether or not women traditionally haven't been allowed to be gurus, like leaders, but now Prabhupada allowed women to take Brahmana initiation, second class, second born. Dvija Bandhu is like friends of the twice born. But so women were classified as that. So because if they followed their husbands were good devotees, and they would also go back to Godhead. But Prabhupada allowed women to take Brahman initiation. And so, but as a matter of fact, Nityananda's wife, and I'll send you her name. It just escapes me at the moment, but it's really a fascinating thing. And now, the GBC, the governing body commission of ISKCON, like the administrative, Malati is one of the GBC members. They are allowing women to be gurus now in this movement.
Wow.
So, that's progress. I think, it's like, it takes time, but, I wish it would go faster, because we're not the body. So if Kṛṣṇa created women, and women can also rise to the highest platform, there's no reason why women shouldn't be able to teach, somebody that can hear the Vedas, because it's only coming from one source. It's coming from Kṛṣṇa. And if women can be transparent via mediums to Kṛṣṇa, why shouldn't they be gurus?
I feel like it's so important.
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, it's a part of equality, and we have to acknowledge that. Otherwise, it's like you're relegated to second-class citizens. And that's not fair, and it's not good for preaching either. Okay, we got 8 minutes left, so we'll keep going here. Nara deva tvam apana surakarya Śikṣāṣtaka samudra nigrahadini chakre viryani ataparam. Synonyms. Nara, human being, devatvam, divinity, apana, having assumed the form of Sura, the demigods, Karya, activities, Śikṣāṣtaka, for the purpose of performing Samudra, the Indian Ocean, Nigradini, controlling, etc. Chakra did perform. Viryani, superhuman prowess. Ataparam, thereafter. Translation. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ramchandra. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist king Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea. Go ahead.
The purport is the personality of God has Sri Rama assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work for the demigods or the administrative personalities to maintain the order of the universe. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravana and Hiryakshipu, and many other become very famous due to advancing material civilization by the help of material science and other activities with the spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. For example, the attempt to fly to other planets by material means is a challenge to the established order. The conditions of each and every planet are different, and different classes of human beings are accommodated there for particular purposes mentioned in the codes of the Lord, but puffed up by the tiny success in material advancement, sometimes the godless materialistic challenge to the existence of God. Ravana was one of them, and he wanted to deport ordinary men to the planet of Indra, which is heaven, by material means without considerations of the necessary qualifications. He wanted the staircase to be built up directly reaching the heavenly planet so that the people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work unless to enter the planet.
Hey, you ever heard of that
He-
song by Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven?
Yes.
Yeah.
He wanted to build a stairway to heaven.
He also wanted to perform other acts against the established. Oh, I lost my space.
I just
Established rule of the Lord. He even challenged the authority of Sri Rama, the personality of Godhead, and kidnapped his wife Sita. Of course, Lord Rama came to chastise this atheist, answering the prayer and desire of the demigods. He therefore took up the challenge of Ravana, and the complete activity is the subject matter of the Ramayana. Because Lord Ramachandra was the personality of Godhead, he exhibited superhuman activities which no human being, including the material advanced Ravana, could perform. Lord Ramachandra prepared a royal road on the Indian Ocean with stones that floated on the water. The modern scientists have done research in the area of weightlessness, but it is not possible to bring the weightlessness anywhere and everywhere. But because weightlessness is the creation of the Lord, by which he can make the gigantic planets fly and float in the air, he made the stones even within the earth to be weightless and prepared a stone bridge on the sea without any supporting pillar. That is the display of the power of God.
Yeah, he had an army of monkeys, and the monkeys were very strong. So they had these big boulders and they threw them in the ocean, and the stones floated, and they built a stairway all the way to Ceylon, which is Lanka back then. Ceylon is like a little island on the left-hand tip of India. That was the island of Ravana. Ravana had a big, huge, very opulent city. It was built with gold pretty much. And he engaged all these monkeys in building this bridge across the ocean, and then he crossed the ocean and he killed Ravana and got his wife back. And it's kind of funny because he was allowing all the little tiny insects and animals to help in that endeavor. There's like a little squirrel that was like kicking some sand, and that big monkey, Hanuman. Hanuman, right, Al?
Yes.
Hanuman was saying, get out of my way. We got important work to do. And then Ravana and Ramachandra just chastised Hanuman and said, no, he's doing whatever he can do. He's maybe throwing a little bit of pebbles into the ocean, but he's also doing service. So leave him alone. Don't bother him. And so that's the equality of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Whatever you can do, you might not have the athletic ability of a huge monkey like Hanuman, who took a whole mountain and jumped across the ocean to save Ramachandra's brother, who was almost dying, and they had a specific herb on the mountain that would revive him. And because herbs were very powerful back then, they're not so much now. But he didn't know the herb because he's a monkey. He didn't know that much, So instead of but he was very strong, so he took the whole mountain and jumped across the ocean. And when he jumped, all the flowers from the mountain fell across the ocean and made a big path of flower petals. I mean, these are amazing stories. They're true. So we got 1 minute left. I think we're going to stop here. Is there any questions?
Who's those demigods that are in the 12 order? Because I remember we were talking about Yamaraj is in Ganesh. Are they like a disciplic demigod? Do you know what I was talking about?
Well, demigods are like Yamaraj. He's a superintendent of death. He's the one that chastises the living entities. He's like the prison keeper, who metes out the punishment for those that have disobeyed the rules of God. And so he has a guy that's like marking all these things down, and he's got a book. And then there's certain punishments that are available to to him to, you know, the hellish plants and things like that. Any other questions? We got less than a minute left here. Thank you very much for joining. Thanks, Mellisa, for joining in. Whenever you can, we're welcome here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it a lot.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Okay, talk to you later, Al.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.